In an exciting twist of fate, we have the Lorwyn First Light book available already. I didn't think this was out until next week. This is one of the three, more importantly the final bit of the digital DLC that we're getting alongside the Faerun books, which I have mixed feelings about, as those of you who watch my channel will know. I quite liked the other two supplements, but as a Magic the Gathering fan, I was really excited to be getting a book in Lorwyn. I am still a little upset not to be getting a proper book, but this is better than I was expecting it to be, and it has some really fun player options. So let's get to it. As you can see, in much the same way that the other two were, Astarion's Book of Hungers and Netheryl's Fall, this is a short book, very short, but it contains a decent amount of stuff. I'm not unhappy with it. Again, I still would have liked it to have been larger, but here we are. But let's kick off with the player options, because that's where the good stuff is, at least for most of us. The Lorwyn Shadowmoor Origins section, along with having some just stunning artwork, as always, not a huge shock. We also get you get two new backgrounds. I'm never that interested in the background because, let's be honest, most people take them for the origin feats. But speaking of origin feats, we get two of them. Now, the amount of player content in this book isn't as high as it was in Astarion's Book of Hungers, and the amount of DM content isn't as high as it was in Netheryl's Fall. But I quite like the balance they've struck here, and it helps that I quite like one of the origin feats especially, and some of the species options, despite most of them being reflavors, we do have a couple of new things in them as well, and one of them is really good. So, origin feats, we have Child of the Sun, which gives you and your allies within 10 feet of you have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the blinded condition, which is neither here nor there. Although it is nice if you're going to be going for a blinded build for whatever reason. You also get the Fairy Fire spell. You can use your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma to cast this, which you get to choose when you select the feat, and you can cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain that ability when you have a long rest. You can also use your actual spell slots to do so. When you do it without a spell slot, taking damage doesn't break your concentration, which is great. Fairy Fire is a pretty underrated spell that can give you advantage and your allies advantage on a bunch of creatures, which is lovely. And being able to cast it without needing concentration could be an amazing way for early game fighters and things of the sort to get advantage on a group without having to worry about things like Vex, which could be really, really strong in the early game. I do think the stronger one here, though, is Shadowmoor Hexer gives you the Hex spell. Prepared, which, for those of you that don't remember, you place a curse on a creature, and until you see within range, till the spell ends, you deal 1d6 extra necrotic damage to the target whenever you hit it with an attack roll. You also get to nerf one of their abilities. If the creature drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, it lasts an hour as standard. You can use a bonus action to move it to a new creature. You get one free casting of the spell per long rest, and again, you can cast the spell with any spell slots you have. That on its own is a massive buff to anybody who wants to play straight class monk, basically. Any class or player character that wants to be hitting a lot and doesn't want to be dipping into spells to be able to boost their damage is going to want to check this out, because being able to get Hex for free and to be able to cast it without casting a spell slot is absolutely incredible. Now, you have to maintain concentration on it, which does make it a little bit disconcerting as a monk, but that's still a lot of extra damage potentially. If you look at something like Colby's recent, D4, his recent monk straight class build, just having Hex even at low levels adds potentially up to 7 damage at level 1 average, which is amazing, and at higher levels is obviously 3.5 damage per attack. Monks can get a lot of attacks. That adds up very quickly. Along with this, when the creature that you've cursed with Hex hits you with an attack roll, the creature takes psychic damage equal to your proficiency bonus. It can only take this once per turn, but this doesn't require a reaction. This also can add up. Sure, it's not a huge amount of damage, but if you've cast this on something like a goblin at low levels and you just haven't quite finished it off, that's 2 damage just for hitting you, which is amazing. I feel like this is really good. I could 100% be getting too excited about this because I'm monk pilled, and that's definitely a reasonable thing that could have been happening here. But I do think it's good, and compared to some of the origin feats we got in Heroes of Faerun, I can't help but wonder what's going on there and why the difference in quality and strength is so substantial. But hey, for the species, for the most part, it tells you lore of the species themselves and which player species you should adapt. So for boggarts, it's goblins. For elves, it's elves, obviously. Fairies, again, it says to use halflings. One notable thing with elves, though, is that it does give us 2 new variations of elves, because elves are one of the few ones with subspecies, and they're pretty good. as it turns out. In fact, the Lorwyn elf gives you the Thorn Whip cantrip, and whenever you finish a long rest, you can replace it with a different cantrip from the Druid spell list. I believe this is quite similar to the... What isn't similar is that at level 5, you get access to Silence. Now, Silence is fine, but having access to Command without having to worry about your specific spell list is really, really strong. Although I believe it appears on a lot of spell lists anyway. It does. Bard, Cleric, Paladin, and Illrigger. So it's on a lot of spell lists anyway, but being able to get it as a Druid or as a Sorcerer, other than Draconic Sorcery, or as a Warlock even, is going to be amazing. Command is a very good spell. Do not sleep on Command. The Shadowmoor Elf gives you a Dark Vision up to 120 feet, which is nice. It also gives you the Starry Whisk cantrip, which is not bad at all. And then it gives you Heroism and Gentle Repose. I really like Heroism. It's a strong spell that can add up to a lot of extra health over the course of its casting, because it gives you temp health equal to your spell casting ability. It gives you temp health equal to your spell casting ability modifier at the start of each of the creature's turns. You can cast this on yourself or someone else. And Gentle Repose is, honestly, it's bordering on being a roleplay spell, but it's a nice little bonus alongside Heroism there. So yeah, 2 cool new, which is cool. It's so good. Along with that, we get 2 brand new species. We get the Lorwyn Changeling, medium or small creature with a speed of 30. As an action, you can reshape your body to a 2-legged humanoid shape or a 4-legged beast shape. This isn't a specific humanoid or beast, it just says the general shape, which is interesting. You also get a dark vision up to 120 feet, which is really, really good. You get proficiency in performance, so this is going to be good for bards, which makes sense with the shape-shifting. And when you roll initiative and don't have disadvantage on the roll, you can take the dash action as a reaction, which means you get to double your speed on the first turn, which is pretty darn good. You also get the Rhymekin. I like the Rhymekin a lot as well. You are a humanoid, you can be medium or small. I love the ability to be medium or small. I wish we got more large stuff, but that's fine. And I also think that wizards should play around more with non-humanoid creatures, but what do I know? My cat's just walked in. You get Cold Fire Magic. Is the main thing with the Rhymekin. You get the Ray of Frost cantrip, and when you hit level 3, you get the Ice Knife spell, and level 5, you get Flame Blade. You can cast each of these spells without a spell slot once per long rest, which is amazing, or you can use your actual spells. If you do cast Flame Blade without a spell slot though, it says using this trait, so actually, theoretically, it could be either. But you can make it do cold damage instead of fire damage. I think fire damage is more commonly resisted. I should have a better working memory of insight checks videos on these kind of things. But that's a nice touch. And Flame Blade is a fun spell. It's a really fun spell. I wish you could use it as a weapon. You also get resistance to cold damage, which isn't that common, but it's not that uncommon either. So that's not bad. And you get Dark Vision with a range of 60 feet. So both of those, all of the species options here are pretty solid. And I think the origin feats are generally better by a fair margin than most of the stuff in Heroes of Faerun as well, which is good. I also think this is probably a stronger offering than the Astarion stuff, even though the Astarion stuff had more options. But maybe that's because they limited the number of things they had, so it can just be stronger. Outside of the player option, we once again have a Gazetteer, which is an introduction as to what you can find in the different places. It gives you some cities within Lorwyn and also within Shadowmoor. The two are inverse planes, basically, a bit like the Feywild and the Shadowfell. It gives you reasons for visiting different things and potential hooks and characters in each individual place as well. I do wish it fleshed out some of these reasons a bit more. It doesn't. I think it's a shame. I thought that was a shame in the other books. I thought it was a shame in Adventures in Faerun. I stand by it. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Adventures in Faerun? I'm tired. Along with that, we get a Bestiary. It tells you a little bit about how to reflavor things, but we do also get some new creatures. We get some new giant variants, which is always good. We get some incarnations of nature, with the coolest one clearly being this axolotl dude, the incarnation of transience. Just fantastic bit of design, although the incarnation of Vibrance is also very, very good. Look at him, what a good boy. We also get Merrows, which are basically merfolk. Well, they are in Magic the Gathering, anyway. And we get Noggle, which are these donkey-headed lads. They're donkey-headed fae, and they're just little rambunctious little guys, which is great. And then we get a handful of adventure hooks as well, with a description of the adventure hall, maybe? Yeah. Situations and hooks, encounters, and the different adventures. It's not much to it, it's just really the two of them. It's a real shame it's not more, but that's by the by. And then the first chapter gives you a description of the lore and whatnot as well. This isn't a massive book. I do really like the options it presents. I really wish... I'm going to go back to my face, because it's better lit at the moment. I bought a second ring light for my desk. So I've got like both, I've got two sides of my face. Isn't that fun? Or it's worse for you. I'm sorry if it's worse for you to look at me. It's also really cold, hence the big fluffy jumper. Anyway, I really wish we were getting a full supplement for Lorwyn. Lorwyn is one of Magic's most beloved planes. It's whimsical, it's covered in elementals, it's got a really cool concept, as do so many Magic the Gathering planes, to be fair. I really wish we got more crossovers with MTG in general. It's wild to me that Wizards have these two properties and they do so well when crossed over with each other in terms of mechanically that we don't get more of them. I don't think it's going to change, so I just have to suck it up. However, I think this is my favorite of the 3 DLCs. I really like it. I like the player options a lot. I like the origin feats. I love the descriptions of the areas. I like the new creatures. I just like it as a whole. It's good stuff. And if you did get all of them, I think you'll be happy to see this as the final offering, with it being a nice mix of player and DM stuff. But that is it for me, at least for today. You'll be seeing a build video for me on Thursday. And then next week, I get to do a big review, because next week we get early access to the Forge of the Artificer stuff from Eberron. I'm very excited to be going to that. I'll probably split that into multiple different videos. I hope there will be enough to go over for that to be a viable thing to do. And if it is, you'll be seeing extra videos from me, basically 3 or 4. I try not to go over that because this is not my full-time job. If you enjoyed this, do like and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful week in the meantime, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.